today we're here to officially announce, and on behalf of the Board of Directors of USA Basketball, that Super has been named the first ever managing director for the women's national team. So, Sue, congratulations. Thanks for taking this on. I've been asked, Sue's pedigree and standing within the sports community, not just in women's basketball, is second to none. And we're just really fortunate to be able to announce this. I know we've talked about it for a little bit.
But what really spoke to you about taking on something like this?
I think a combination of things. Initially, I really wasn't super interested. We're going back a couple of years. It wasn't something that I thought I was ready for. I had just retired. I know USA Basketball had been thinking about moving to this managing director role. So yeah, initially I wasn't really sure, but then I think as my retirement has played out, I've tried new things. I've been in different, quote unquote rooms, talking to Jim more about it, talking to General Dempsey, talking to Bree, talking to Grant Hill even. I just started to sit with it, and it really started to stick that I loved being a part of USA Basketball as a player. I loved carrying on that tradition, and now I could still do it, albeit in a different role, a supportive role, but I could still be a part of that, and I felt confident in it. And I also felt an excitement that I hadn't felt in a while, and I think put all that together, and here we are.
Well, Sue's been a leader on and off the court her entire career, and as I said earlier, her pedigree and standing within the sports world is unparalleled. So, she's a person of character, integrity, and really proud that she's going to take this on.
What are some of your priorities as you kind of get set for World Cup in Berlin?
First and foremost, we'll be choosing a coach. There's no specific timeline on that, but obviously that is super important. And then once that's done, choosing the larger staff, obviously getting the coach's input on that is really important. And then for me personally, of course, there's an aspect of this where I'm going to be watching a lot of basketball, I'm going to be watching a lot of players, something I was already doing, so that's kind of nice.
The national teams play a lot together, a lot of familiarity. Do you think the U.S. needs to get to the final roster much sooner, and do they need to play, together, much earlier before the Olympics?
I think in a perfect world, we would get to train for 8 months and put it all together and go to these major competitions. But that's just not what is allowed in the calendar and the schedule. The good news is we now have a version of practice at this. We understand what it is in terms of the time constraints. We understand what it is from all the perspectives in terms of when we have a couple days, we have to make the most of them. And I think another good part is that a lot of players play together in the WNBA and even against each other in the WNBA. Playing against a player can also give you a sense of who they are and what their style is. So, in a perfect world, would we have all year to do it? Yeah, but that's just not the world that we live in. So we do have practice at making the best of what we do have.
Thanks and congrats.